Welcome everyone to our first podcast. This is our second go at it because the first time our audio, if I can talk, the first time our audio quality was very poor, so we decided to re-record our first podcast.
A momentous occasion.
Probably you guys are either our friends or family, so you know that us two are the loudest voiced two people you probably know. Is that fair to say? The most annoyingly opinionated people?
Yeah, that's fair, I think. I think that's fair.
So naturally, we felt the desire to start a podcast.
Because we don't know a lot about stuff, but we have stuff to say about stuff.
Exactly. We got stuff to say. What is the stuff we are saying today?
Today we're going to talk about pet peeves. We're going to talk about what a pet peeve is. We're going to talk about our pet peeves. And we're just going to let it go. This is kind of a self-indulgent podcast, so it just gives us an excuse to talk to each other and to talk about stuff, and we don't really care if it entertains anybody in the audience, so...
Yeah, exactly. Plus, I just miss talking to you, Mitch.
Yeah.
I miss you, man. So, like he said, self-indulgent.
Well, let's just dive right in, huh?
Yeah.
So let's just start off by talking about what is a pet peeve? What does that mean?
To me, a pet peeve is something that's annoying that someone else does. Right? We talked about that last time. It seems like when you have a pet peeve, it's something another agent or person acting is involved doing that just bugs you. And you had a more in-depth, probably better definition that I liked.
Yeah, just to touch base on your point that you made. For example, I hate traffic, and I hate movie theaters for many reasons.
Hate movie theaters?
There's so many people there, and the snacks are so expensive, and there's always somebody making noise behind you, and they clap at the end of the movie, right? All these kinds of things. But, like, I wouldn't ever say that going to the movies is my pet peeve, right?
Yeah.
Because, like you mentioned, nobody is, like, doing something to annoy me. I mean, there's people at the movies who do things that annoy me, but it's, like, my choice to go to
Yeah, it's your choice, right?
Or sitting in traffic, it's, like, nobody's fault. There's nothing specific someone is doing that bugs me. So those things aren't an agent acting upon me to bother me. So I like that frame that you put on pet peeves.
Yeah.
I did a little research and looked at the definition of a pet peeve, or separately, pet and peeve. So a peeve is something that is a cause of annoyance. So that's generally what we think of when we talk about pet peeves, right? But then the pet portion of it implies that there's some nurture that goes into it. The way you would nurture a pet dog or a pet cat, you take care of it, you feed it, and you think about it, and you care about it. So a pet peeve is not just something that is a cause of annoyance, but something that we actively take care to continually see as a cause of annoyance. It's like something that we love to hate.
We love to hate it. Exactly.
Yep. So there's somewhat of a choice implied in our pet peeves that, like, we choose what we're super annoyed by. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't think we are choosing to be annoyed by it, but we are choosing to hold on to that annoyance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because things just bug us. We can't help if things bug us. But we can encourage that annoyance, right? We can look up on Facebook the arguments that annoy us because we love to engage in that sort of that annoyance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember when I was a missionary, I had a companion who was not the brightest crayon in the box. He struggled to do most things, and that includes driving. I remember when he was driving the car, he would like drive up on the curb all the time and be like swerving to miss cars and stuff like that. And I remember getting pretty annoyed about it one day, but like I acknowledged the fact that I secretly wanted him to continue to be a bad driver so I could be mad about it. Is this what we're talking about? That I wanted him to annoy me so that I would be justified in my anger about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Cool. Well, let's talk about some pet peeves that we have so that we can talk more about how we nurture that annoyance.
Yeah.
What are your pet peeves, or one or two of them maybe?
Okay, so my biggest one, last time when we originally recorded this, I said it was irrational anger. But since then I've been able to reflect, and it's really what my pet peeve is, what really bugs me is emboldened irrationality. So it doesn't have to be irrational anger, but just being bold in your irrationality. You know what I mean?
So you are just annoyed all the time.
Exactly. Basically, anyone who ever gives a political opinion, I'm annoyed by it. Because most of the time, that opinion is at least somewhat irrational, and it's presented in a bold way.
Yeah, but what's a concrete example?
A concrete example. Well, the concrete examples I have are of more anger. For example, are that one flag football game we had. You know what I'm talking about. Where the whole game, that guy who was like twice my size, and I was defending him, so I had to be somewhat aggressive if I had any hope to be a good defender, right? And so he just got so mad one time, where one play he just ran me over, and the rest were terrible. And anyway, he was just acting so angry, which made me angry in turn, right? That's the ironic thing. Irrational anger makes me irrationally angry.
And then you get angry at yourself.
And then I get angry at myself, and it's just this perpetual cycle.
And that brings us to now.
I'm just angry all the time, like you said. Because bold irrationality makes me irrationally angry.
Yeah. So social media plays a big role in that.
I think, for
probably. Sure. As well as some of the things that I have to say. And that makes me want to bring this up. I mentioned it last time too. But John Mayer tweeted something back in, I don't know when, 2012, to the effect of, you'll never be happier than when you let go of what other people do and think. And so a lot of pet peeves are often like just being bothered by the way other people act, even if it's not affecting you. Right. Like just that they hold a certain opinion bothers you, even though it doesn't change your life at all. So I just wanted to make that point before I go on and tell you all the things that people think that bug me, right?
Yeah.
But I think we all can do better at getting over that and just letting people live their lives and be how they are. And that's okay. So with that said, let me tell you about one of mine specifically from social media that bugs me. I'll give you two, actually. So one is those stupid posts that are people from a specific generation, like being condescending to people of a different generation. So for example, like your aunt or somebody who's like 65 or 70 years old will be like, share some picture of an old mechanical device, and they'll be like and share if you know what this is. Only smart people know, when it's just an outdated device that like somebody in their 20s or 30s just has never seen before, as if that makes them a better person because they know what this like wheat sifter thing is or whatever. Mm-hmm. So like that kind of thing is stupid.
Ellen DeGeneres, I saw she did this clip where she brought on this teenage girl to try to use like a whatever you call it, one of those phones, the old school phones where you had a dial.
Rotary
yeah,
phone.
Exactly. See, I don't even know the name of it. But, and she brought this girl on, and she couldn't do it. And so, like, the whole audience was just laughing. Like, haha, what a dumb teenager. You don't even know how to do this basic stuff. And it's like, these things are completely obsolete. Why would we even care to know how to do this?
Right? Yeah. That would be like, who? Like, Apple, the company, getting made fun of because they don't know how to develop film. Like, Kodak is making fun of Apple, and they're like, oh, you just take pictures digitally. You're so dumb.
Right. Exactly.
Like, yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
How do you feel about...
sorry, continue.
I was going to ask you how you felt about the OK Boomer meme.
I have mixed feelings about that because one, like, yeah, that's stupid. Like, boomers, they're just old. They were just born a long time ago, so of course they have different perspectives and values than the younger generation.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like kind of funny because it's making fun of how they are.
Right.
It's not necessarily making fun of, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, it's making fun of the stereotype more than it's making fun of any specific thing.
That's true. I get that.
They're like, my father-in-law, when I was looking for a job last month, was like, oh, well, why don't you just call up some businesses and ask them if they're hiring? Like, how typical is that? What a boomer thing to say. And it's just funny to make fun of, like, that kind of attitude rather than, like, oh, he's so dumb, he doesn't know how to use the internet. That would be more of something that bugs me, I think.
Right, yeah. Exactly. I like the meme. Mostly just because it just gives me an excuse to snap back at my parents or whoever, you know.
Our pet peeves only bother us when they don't work at our advantage.
Right.
I was going to say the second thing on social media that bugs me is, and I guess this doesn't have to be on social media either, this could be a normal conversation, but when people try to be unique or special about things that are very common. Mm-hmm. For example, the only in Utah, people will say stuff like that. Yep. Or only at BYU will you see somebody doing this when it's something that could totally happen anywhere. Specifically, you see the weather thing all the time. People are like, oh, this is weather in Utah. And it's like rain in the morning and then it turns to snow and then it's sunny, right?
Right.
When like I've seen that for like almost every state.
Yep. And me having moved around a lot throughout my life, every state I moved to, they would say that. So
yeah,
it's just...
So there's some things that aren't special.
Exactly.
Quit thinking that you're special.
Right? To combine both of those points, the only 90s babies will remember this, you know? So you must especially hate those.
Exactly. Or I saw one the other day that was like a cabin in the woods, very picturesque. There's like a river running next to it. There's smoke coming out of the chimney. Like the autumn leaves are changing colors. And it was like, I could vacation here.
Yeah.
Well, like, yeah, we all could. It was built for people to be there. Everybody likes the outdoors. You're not special.
Right.
So that kind of thing bugs me.
Cool.
What else bugs you?
What'd I say? Emboldened irrationality? What are my other things? Oh, yeah. When someone tells me to do something I'm already doing or obviously about to do, right? That really bugs me. It's like, I am responsible, I can take care of myself, I know how to help. Like, you don't have to constantly babysit me all the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's interesting to think about why people do that. Like, does it give them a sense of superiority to tell you what to do? Is it more that they're genuinely concerned about the outcome of it and they don't think you're responsible enough to also be concerned about the outcome of it?
Yeah, so I think it's either they want the feeling of authority, right? It makes them feel good to boss people around, or they just don't trust you either because they don't know you or because they just have some perception of you that eliminates their trust. When I was on the grounds crew at BYU, I had the student lead always did that to me. Like, I would constantly be doing work, and for like 10 seconds, I would turn my head to talk to the person next to me, and then she'd be like, "Hey, stop talking, get to work, blah, blah, blah." And it's like, you can see my shears are in the bush. What do you think I'm doing?
Right. Shears are in the bush. Feels like that could be like an adage of some sort.
Sure.
You better get your shears in the bush. You know what I mean?
Does
it have anything to do with you wanting credit, and you feel like you don't get credit if somebody tells you, like, you were about to do it, you were going to be responsible, but by them telling you, it like takes away from your responsibility?
I don't think that's the main thing. I mean, it might play some part subconsciously in my pet peevedness, but I think it's just mostly just because I hate it. It's annoying.
Yeah. Because I have feelings that are similar to that when I'm like in class or I'm at church and I'm like formulating what I want to say. I'm about to make an insightful comment, and then someone else says the same thing, and I like get a little bit upset because I was like, man, I was going to say that. Everyone was going to think I was so smart, but now I'm not going to get credit for that comment because somebody else made it. And
I mean, like I have those feelings, but those are mostly like ironic feelings, or just more like I'm lightheartedly thinking that, I'm not actually serious.
Yeah. Or similarly, when I am preparing to give somebody a gift, and then I have already purchased it, or I have the idea to purchase it, but I have not yet given it, and then they ask for it.
Yeah.
It's like, I already got it. Like, I was thoughtful enough to get it for you before you asked for it, and now you're going to think I only got it for you because you asked for it. I mean, these aren't my pet peeves. These are just feelings I have.
That's funny. This particular pet peeve is so annoying to me that even when I'm playing a video game in a tutorial level or just otherwise throughout the video game, if one of the characters is programmed to tell you what to do, it bugs me because it's like, I'm a smart guy, I know what to do. If I'm not doing it, it's because I want to explore this other section, or whatever. And yesterday, I was cooking something in the microwave, and my microwave is so dumb because if you don't take it out within like 5 seconds, it beeps again. And it's like, I know my food is done, okay? Chill. Stop beeping at me.
Yeah, I watched you on YouTube play the determinism game. What was it? Stanley Parable. Stanley Parable.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting to watch you rebel against the instructions, and I suppose it turns out that was the point of the game.
Right. Exactly.
But, yeah, man, you hate following instructions.
Yeah. Stick it to the man.
So do you find that it's following instructions? Like when you buy an IKEA furniture,
no.
Do you use the instructions to put it together?
Yeah, for sure. I still use the instructions. I still love Legos.
But if the instructions were to remind you, hey, don't forget to put this screw in, you would get mad at it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right.
One of my other pet peeves I wanted to mention that is very common and very deep and passionate.
Yeah.
You know what it is. Anybody who's watching this knows what it is.
Yeah. Presumably.
Loud eating.
Loud chewing.
Loud chewing. And it's not I was talking about this last week with my wife and her parents, because her dad is a loud eater, and they were asking about it, and they said if it's like a loud food and there's like nothing you can do about it, does it bother you? Right? So if you're eating
a loud food,
like carrot sticks, or
even then there's an initial crunch, right? But you still can chew with your mouth closed.
Yeah, right. So that's what I said, is it's more the chewing sound. It's not the crunching sound. If you eat an apple and your mouth is closed and it just goes crunch, crunch, crunch while your mouth is closed, that doesn't bother me. It's the suckage,
Yeah.
that bothers me. It's like almost sounds like you're trying to make additional noise. Or slurping, right? When you're eating noodles and you're trying to get them in your mouth, to get them in your mouth, that bugs me.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know what it is. I could try to articulate why it bothers me, but I think that it's a deep psychological thing.
I think you just got issues, man.
Yeah. Well, the 23andMe DNA kit where they test you for like your medical predispositions and then like your traits that are in your DNA, one of the things they can test for is aversion to loud eating. They can find it in your DNA. Yeah. So it's not my fault, people. Not my fault.
Interesting.
Can't control it. Yep.
That's cool.
So I don't have much to say about that except that it's terrible.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't bug me nearly as much as it bugs you, but I wouldn't necessarily call that sound enjoyable or pleasant.
Do you notice when people are loud eaters?
Only, I don't think initially. Right? For me to notice if someone's chomping, it would have to be like really potent. But I don't, if it's just like subtly chewing with their mouth open, I probably wouldn't pick up on it unless someone pointed it out to me.
Dude, because sometimes I like feel bad because like little kids will make me mad. Like this 3-year-old is chomping on some food and like they don't know anything, they can't do anything, and I'm like, "Hey kid, control yourself."
Stupid
And
kids.
or Bugs Bunny. I can't watch Bugs Bunny because he comes up with that carrot. What's up, Doc? Like, shut your mouth, Bunny.
Nice.
So, loud eating. Would you say that there are pet peeves that you have outgrown in your life? Things that used to be pet peeves that now are whatever? You shrug it off.
I don't, it probably was a pet peeve. I don't know how to specifically describe it, but I think back to our freshman year of college and how like everything bugged us about everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, how would you describe that? Just like the general aura of people bugged us.
It was like something about conformity.
Probably.
Like when people just went and did something because it was the thing everyone was doing.
Right.
Or listened to the same music everyone
yeah.
was listening to. Or liked the same food everyone liked. It would like make us mad when people would express their feelings about
it's
it.
like
When
the only reason you're doing this is just because everyone else is doing it, not because you think it's cool.
Yeah. Like if someone was like, "Oh, I love Justin Bieber," we'd be like, "That's so stupid. Why would you like that?" When like everybody did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like the general conformity of people. And I don't know if this was like because it was an important developmental stage for us and we were like trying to find identity and we thought other people should also be trying to find identity.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
But yeah,
that is really interesting.
Yeah, now it's like people are people and they can do whatever. It's whatever. There's still like things people do that bug me that I don't particularly enjoy to participate in, but it's like it's not a pet peeve.
Yeah. So that you can just acknowledge the fact that like there are things that people really like that you don't have to like, and that's okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Speaking of which, last time you mentioned when you were in Arizona something about the classic rock radio stations.
Oh.
And I want to talk about that.
Oh, man. Okay, so the cool thing, when I was living in Glendale, Arizona for a year, there were like 5 classic rock radio stations, and I loved that. Except all of the stations, except for one, would edit out the guitar solos. And that made me so mad. Ugh. Sorry, I'm getting loud. I'm peeking here.
But
anyway.
So let's talk about the reason it made you mad.
It's like a guitar solo is an essential part of the song. It's like the artist cared enough about the solo to put it in the song to begin with, and you're just cutting it out. For why? Because presumably people don't like to listen to it. I like to listen to it. Like, what's the rationale behind that?
So it was the action of them cutting out the solo from the song Or did it have something to do with the idea that they did it because people don't like guitar solos, and you're mad at the fact that people don't like guitar solos?
Either or, both of them, man. Both of those things are just atrocious to me.
Yeah, dude, what is wrong with the world today? When I was in high school, I had a girlfriend who hated classic rock music, and when we were in my car, we would listen to classic rock, and when we were in her car, we'd listen to country music. And she expressed very specifically that she hates guitar solos because they're boring. They don't have any words to listen to. They don't have a melody. And
they don't have a melody? What are you talking about?
I found it outrageous.
The guitar solo is the melody.
But sometimes it's just doodaloos and tweedlees.
Well, that's in that instance. It's the melody of the song. Just an instrumental section.
It's terrible. Well, and Red Yeti was talking about. So for those of you who don't know who Red Yeti is, I would be shocked. You should know who Red Yeti is.
I was thinking about them the other day.
But so when we were in college, we played in a band, and we didn't take it too seriously.
No,
we didn't practice very often. We'd play like maybe 4 or 5 shows a year, and we'd practice for like a couple days before that, and that was about the extent of it. But there was another band that we knew of because we'd seen them at other shows, and they lived in apartment complexes near ours, who took it very seriously. They won like Utah State Amateur Band of the Year 2012 or something. Anyways, they were releasing an EP that had like 5 or 6 songs on it, and they had hired a producer to help them with it, and one of the producer's rules was no guitar solos on any tracks. Against the rules to have them. If you had them written in the song, cut them out. And I think that it's symbolic and reflective of the degradation of society's morals.
Yeah, 100%.
My entrance essay to BYU was about how the decline of classic rock music is reflective of the decline of society's morals. And that's how I got into BYU.
That's pretty weird. Because when people think of rock and roll, they think sex and drugs, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
But here's the thing. I have a lot to say about that. Maybe we'll save that for another episode. But I have a lot to say about.
Look for another podcast about rock and roll.
The deeper meaning behind sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
I like that. Anyways, so that's terrible. So Dustin has grown out of the idea that he needs to be upset when people like things that he doesn't like, or when masses of people are different than him.
Correct.
I think that's good. That's healthy.
Yeah.
One of the things I have grown out of, 2 of them. One, when I was in high school, was I would get so mad when people would eat my food. You took a fry off my plate, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it could have been because I was like a growing teenager, and so I was just like starving all the time. But dude, it made me so mad. I don't have much to say about that. And then the second thing was another social media thing, was back when memes first started coming out, 2012, 2013 on the internet. This topic is still really popular for memes, but it used to bother me, the self-deprecating humor that was common on social media. I didn't really get it. Or maybe I did get it, but it made me mad when like people would be like, "Oh, I was going to get good grades this semester, but I sleep until 1:30 p.m. every day." And like it's funny to like laugh at that because a lot of people do that, and it's like hyperbole about how lazy you are. And I used to be like, "That's not funny. That is bad." Like we as society need to be better at having self-control and being responsible. It's not funny to eat a whole pizza by yourself. It's not funny to sleep until 1:30 p.m. Like, we need to be better, you sack of crap.
And you've grown out of that.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me that much anymore. Like, I get that it's a joke, and like,
right.
People can be lazy.
And the reason why it's funny is because we know it's bad. Right?
Yeah,
it wouldn't be funny if we didn't think it was bad.
Exactly. So finally, would you say that having pet peeves is healthy? Is it a good thing to just let things bug you sometimes and you can lean into that? Or does it cause anxiety and it makes you like think about things that get you all worked up for no reason, and it would be much more healthy to just like let it all go?
Yeah, I'm not I'm not trained in psychology. I would be very interested to know the psychology behind pet peeves. But just initially thinking about it, I think it just depends on how far you take it, right? I think it definitely is healthy to be able to express being annoyed, right? And as long as you're not taking it out on anyone else, then I think it's healthy to be like, hey, look, kind of like, I mean, what we're doing is we're approaching it in a lighthearted manner, right? We're talking about what annoys us and we're laughing while doing it. So I think that's a healthy thing. I don't think it would be healthy to sort of just internalize it and hold on to it and let it build up, right? So
have you ever had a pet peeve or somebody else's pet peeve that caused contention in your relationship?
My relationship?
With that person. You quit being friends with somebody, you had to quit spending time with someone because they bugged you or because you bugged them, or...
I mean, I've unfollowed a lot of people on Facebook, but not... I don't know. I don't know.
It seems like maybe that's the line you're trying to draw. Is that like when your pet peeve starts causing you to act inappropriately or to have behavior that is unhealthy for you or those around you, is when it's an unhealthy pet peeve.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's essentially what I'm getting at. What would you say?
I think I would agree. And I think maybe what I'm about to say speaks to the pet part of pet peeves, that like you have a little bit of control over to what extent it bothers you, or to what extent you continue to think about it and worry about it. I think that certain people doing certain things bug you more than others. Like if somebody that you think is annoying does a specific thing, it's going to bug you way more than if somebody you like does that same thing.
Right.
Katie and I have talked about one of the things I do that bugs her that would bug her a lot more if it wasn't me. And I told you this last time, when I eat my sandwich and my chips, what I do is I put my sandwich on a plate, and then I get the whole bag of chips, and I don't just take a handful and put them on my plate. I take the bag of chips over to the table, and I set it up so that the mouth of the bag of chips is setting just slightly overlapping on the edge of the plate, so that I have a continuous feed of chips coming onto my plate. So as I eat, I can pick up more chips and like slide them up.
What did we call it? Continual chip output?
Yeah, continual chip output. And so that just bugs Katie for some reason. She thinks it's like kind of stupid, or like maybe slovenly and gluttonous. And sometimes the chip bag, because maybe the way it's set up
but it's
is
efficient.
It is efficient. So sometimes the chip bag is like sitting over her area of the table, and like she's like, where am I supposed to sit? But she's told me straight up, like, if somebody else did that, it would make me so mad. I would think it's so stupid. But because it's you, like, I can get over it. And so I think that that's interesting with pet peeves, is like they're accentuated by people we already don't like. And so I don't know what this means as far as pet peeves being healthy.
I think if we don't like the person, it's easy to have pet peeves about that person. But for example, I didn't know that guy on that football team, right? But he still exemplified a pet peeve that I have.
Yeah. Anyways, so listeners, tell us in the comments what your pet peeves are.
Yeah, and then we can discuss it further if you would like. Or not. It's up to you.
Maybe we'll take a deep dive. If there's some really interesting ones, we'll have
for sure,
an episode where we just talk about that thing.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I make no promises.
Here's the thing about this podcast. We're just going to talk about what we want to talk about. Like, for example, ask me my opinion on orca whales.
What do you think about orca whales?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
We won't talk about it.
Yeah, good. What are some of the things we are going to talk about over the next couple weeks?
We got some rock and roll. Got a lot to say about that.
I think we'll probably have several rock and roll episodes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't know. What else?
We were going to talk about the greatest flag football team of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Think that'll be good?
Good old days. The Brovo Rockers.
I wanted to talk about at some point why the most successful people aren't always the smartest people and vice versa.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a real dumb person who is just crushing it. And sometimes there's really smart people who don't. So I think we should talk about that.
I have a whole list. I've been adding to it. I can send it to you.
Good.
Anyway. Thanks for listening or watching or however you're consuming this podcast.
Yeah, thank you for watching the Things We Want to Talk About podcast.
Is that what we're calling it?
I don't know. I just thought of that right now.
We can discuss what we're gonna call it. Anyway. Yeah, thanks. Anything else to add?
Nope.
Cool. Me neither.
Love you, bye.
Goodbye.